Okay, volume 9 of the Bible story. This is my 70-year-old book, one of 10 that I have. Okay, we are at part 4, story 4, Why Thomas Doubted. Okay, and Thomas means twin, and of course, they always the story of why he doubted. Um, this probably will explain it. Okay, for some reason or another, Thomas was not present when Jesus appeared among his disciples that Sunday evening. Possibly he had gone on an errand, or he may have been too busy getting ready to return to Galilee. Anyhow, he was absent. And being absent, he missed being among the first to see Jesus after his resurrection. Just when he heard what had happened while he was away, we don't know. It could have been the same night or the next morning. But whenever it was, his friends were full of exciting stories and very eager to tell him about it. "We have seen the Lord," they said. "He appeared to us. We saw him and talked to him, and now we know for sure that he has risen from the dead." "Nonsense," says Thomas. You're just like the women, seeing things. I don't believe it." Day after day he refused to believe their story. Perhaps it was because he felt a bit left out. By this time he had Jesus heard that Jesus had appeared to Mary Magdalene, to Peter, to Cleophas, and finally to all the disciples in the upper room. Why had he appeared to everybody else and not him? It could be that a little bit of jealousy had added to his doubt. In any case, he decided not to believe unless he himself actually saw Jesus. "Except that I see his hands, the print of the nails, and put my finger into the prints of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side," he said, "I will not believe." All week long he held doggedly to this idea. Nobody could move him from it. Some had thought that it was very wicked of Thomas to doubt so long, but they forget that all the disciples doubted at first. When they heard the stories that the women brought from the open tomb, they called them idle tales. Thomas only doubted a few days longer than the rest, and Thomas had many good points. He was a very brave man, and most devoted to Jesus during his ministry. Now, now, not having seen Jesus since his crucifixion, he was in doubt. Out of loyalty to his beloved master, he would not want to make a mistake. Could the stories of his resurrection be true? He was not sure. "I believe when I see him," he said to himself, "but not before." All that week he worried about it. As the days went by, his doubts increased. As Jesus, if Jesus were alive, as others said, why did he not appear again? Another Sabbath came, 1 week after the saddest Sabbath in history, and still there is no sign of Jesus. Most of the disciples were now sure he was alive somewhere. But where? Only one of the 12 seemed inclined to doubt. I can't believe he's alive, Thomas said to himself. I won't believe it, not unless I see the print of the nails in his hands. Sabbath passed, and Sunday too. It was now 10 days since the crucifixion. Then, the evening, as the disciples were all together in the upper room, came Jesus, the doors being shut, and stood in the midst, and said, Peace be unto you. So, 10 days after the crucifixion, he showed up again, just coming through the door, not opening, just appearing. And this, of course, is to illustrate a representation of them, because they're just not paying attention, and then poof, he's there. So this is the illustration. This time, Thomas was with the rest, and what a look of blank surprise came over his face. He may as well have had, he may well have felt ashamed too, after all his doubting, for surely this was Jesus. There could be no question now. The others had been right all the time. The Lord had indeed risen from the dead. Now Jesus was looking straight at him, right through him. That dear, familiar voice that called him by name, Thomas, said Jesus, reach hither thy finger and hold my hand. Reach hither thy finger and behold my hand. And reach hither thy hand and thrust into my side. And be not fearless, but believing. So he had the hole. So he told him to go stick his finger through the hole and see if the other side. And then on his rib, I said, go ahead, stick your hand in there. That's my idea because, them being fishermen, they would, they know what it feels like. The clean to dress fish. I mean, come on. Think about it. Okay, let me get back to the story. All right, so Jesus had read his thoughts. Jesus had known all about his doubts. Jesus had heard every word he had said about touching the wounds in his hands and his feet and his side. And I probably touched the wounds on his back too. Okay? He had not want to touch them now. There was no need. Beyond all question, this was the dear Master himself. Kneeling humbly at his feet, he cried, My Lord, my God. Then Jesus said to him, so kindly and gently, Because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed. Blessed are they that have not seen, and yet believed. At that moment, Jesus was thinking not only of Thomas, but of many other people, all the people who should live from that day to this. He is thinking of all the boys and the girls who would hear of him through the years to come, and who would have to believe in him without seeing him. Blessed, he said, shall they be. This blessing is for you and for me, For nobody alive today has ever seen Jesus. Nobody can see him now. Yet we may believe in him. Patriarchs, prophets, and apostles have told us all we need to know about him. They have made him so real that we can feel him close to us, closer, comma, or pause, than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. But best of all, we have the word of Thomas, the man who doubted so much that and then believed with all his heart. His story is written in the Bible so that you and I, not seeing but believing, might fall to our knees before our beloved Jesus, saying, "My Lord and my God." And then it has a picture. It's a me of, and they got the marks in the hand of him, of Thomas on his knees. And there's the painting. Okay, and that was the end of part 4, story 4. So it's time for the break, and I'll break it up. And this is all happening in 40 days after the resurrection. But I digress. It's going to tell more about it here in a little bit. See you in a bit.